Robert Stanford.
My name is Robert Stanford. My address is P.O. Box 576684, Modesto, California, 95357. I'm the president of the civil rights organization localblack.com. We are an organization dedicated to the socio-economic development of people of color in the United States. I'm here today to plead for understanding of the plight our residents of color in the south and west sides of Modesto must endure on a daily basis. In the course of my social work in these areas, I am being asked with much more frequency what can be done to protect children of color from law enforcement harassment and brutalization. There are killings dominantly resonating in the forefront of many of these persons' minds today, such as the 11-year-old shot in the back, Alberto Sepulveda, and Sammy Galvin, gunned down in his mother's house, standing next to his girlfriend. Our people don't have the answers they desperately need. Our people are angry, frightened, and worst of all, they are hesitant to trust or cooperate with local law enforcement. An extremely small number of the residents of color on the south and west sides of Modesto are in any way affiliated with gangs or gang activity. Our people are marginalized in the media as well as Stanislaus government, and it is a foregone conclusion throughout the communities of the south and west sides of Modesto that being a person of color is considered probable cause to be considered a gang member, and thereby to be treated with respect similar to that of the Jews who resided in 1936 Polish ghettos. Perhaps if the police were to gun down a white child in a wealthier neighborhood, this would send a more clear message that our people are not being discriminated against because of gang propaganda. Thank you.
And we're back. Mr. Robert Stanford is the president of the civil rights organization Local Black in the Ceres Modesto area. And Mr. Stanford has some very sincere concerns about the environmental, the social structure of our relationships here in the Ceres and Modesto area right now. He has some things that he'd like to say that relate to that. Mr. Stanford?
Yes. Actually, I'd like to use this opportunity to make a personal invite to Chief of Police of Ceres, Officer Art DeWork, to come down to the station and visit with me so that we can show the community that we understand where the police force is coming from. We understand what your concerns are, and that we acknowledge those, and also give you an opportunity to acknowledge and show sincerely that you understand what our concerns are, and that we can demonstrate to the public some of the positive changes that the public is soon going to see. Our people are very angry and very frightened right now, and as I'm sure that you're aware, as we discussed at the second town hall meeting in Ceres, this is needless, and I'd be very interested in not any type of a debate or anything, just a visit so that we can educate the public as far as what we are doing together for the community as Ceres continues to heal since the tragic Rhea incident, and as we come together as a community.
Mr. Stanford, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I hope that things really progress very well. And I think it's great that someone is like you is throwing out, as you said, an olive branch.
Well, I take it that this is the result of the shooting of the police officer in Ceres and those events, that event that occurred. Is that right? And what the police did afterward.
Somewhat. It's been going on for a long time, but it's been escalating. And this is the point where we need to. It's terrible that it has to come to such a point, but this is the point that we need to come together as a community.
So some dialogue is called for to bring it together.
That's right.
I believe so.
It's an awfully tough line between personal freedom and security, and that's just what you're talking about. It's very important subject.
I believe together that Mr. DeWork and I will be able to address that in a positive nature.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot for being here.
By the name of Robert W. Stanford. He's the president of a civil rights organization called Local Black. And he's going to talk a little about civil rights and about how it may affect things that are going on or have been going on in Ceres and the problems that they had there. And like I said, the name of the organization is Local Black. It's a civil rights organization. I noticed when I came in the parking lot before a pre-production program, it's got a big NAACP sticker on the back window of his car, which is kind of like a moving target, things like that. And hopefully we won't have any protests tonight, but it'll be all right. That's what we have tonight, 6 to 7 p.m. live on Sound Off.
There was a heck of a lot of energy behind that, Don.
Sound Off, it's Thursday night live. I'm Don Langman, this is KTV Channel 14. This is the show where I talk, you watch, you learn, you listen. Tonight we have a guest. You're really going to enjoy this one. Views, opinions, and statements on Sound Off are those of the host and the guest, do not necessarily reflect those of the owners or management of KTV Channel 14. Okay. You know, the stuff that happened in Ceres a couple of months ago, the assassination of a Ceres police officer, the serious wounding of another by a gentleman who is reputed to have been a gang member, and whether he had a death wish and this was suicide by cop or whatever you want to call it, I have no idea. And the subsequent crackdown on gangs, gang members, type things, not only in Ceres, but in Stanislaus County in general, but specifically in Ceres. There's been a lot of controversy back and forth. And it's been primarily a police, law enforcement / Latino. That's a correct political phrase anymore. It's not Hispanic people, it's Latino. So it's been kind of a police, law enforcement / Latino type thing. At least that's what the media has reported, and that's what kind of how the police chief has reported it, and things like that. Now, suppose police brutality, suppose, picking on one race or stereotype or something like this is not the exclusive territory of Latinos. They aren't alone. They sure in the hell weren't the first. I mean, for years during the civil rights era and everything else, it was the African American or the black or whatever it was called back in those days. Actually, way back when, they used to be known as Negroes, people of color. And then they became Afro-Americans, I don't know, Afro-haircut, then they became black, and now they're African-Americans, whatever it is. And back in those days, there was a group that was formed. There were several groups. There was SNCC, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. There was CORE, Commission on Racial Equality. But there was this large umbrella group that had been around a long time called the NAACP, National Association for the Advancement of Colored, that's plural, multiple people. And it dealt primarily with supposedly overall people of what was considered people of color, meant non-white. Okay, so NAACP's been around for a long time, highly respected. It's in the local area, people like Monroe Taylor in the Modesto area for years. Mr. Johnson was the leader in the NAACP for many years. Anyway, it's been a very, and they're kind of low-key. They're not really into a lot of, really outrageous activities. Certainly not like back in the days of Huey Newton and Black Power, things like that. Anyway, along comes a group called Local Black. And apparently they have a website, and they're set up in the Modesto area, and they're involved with the NAACP, and they're kind of a civil rights organization concerned about it. And the president of it is a gentleman named Robert Stanford. And Mr. Stanford apparently has some interest in what's happened in Ceres and happening to minorities. And again, we're into a civil rights thing. Anyway, I invited Mr. Stanford to be on Sound Off tonight and represent the organization called Local Black. restricted from calling. You can call 577-0743. You're going to be asked your name and your phone number, then the Smith sisters will call you back and put you on hold so you can talk on Sound Off. I'm back. I'm Don Langman with Sound Off. My guest tonight is Mr. Robert Stanford, the president and founder of an organization, civil rights organization, that kind of mirrors the NAACP, National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. The organization is called Local Black, headquarters Modesto. Mr. Stanford is white. Wears a cowboy hat. Doesn't look real black. Doesn't look real liberal. I didn't think that. In fact, I looked at the rear window of your car, and you've got an NAACP sticker about that big. I thought of it as a target. I mean, there's parts of this county and parts of the state of California that would be an invitation to get shot. There's still parts of this country in the South where having an NAACP sticker that's, well, bigger than a pumpkin pie would probably get you your body abused. Yeah, talk to me.
Hi, my name is Barbara.
Hi, Barbara.
And I don't know what you think of this, but I don't get along with Hindus. I don't get along with Arabs. Okay, I'm Latin. I was born in Central America, but I was raised here. I came here when I was like 10 or 11. 10, yeah. And most of my, like, over the 5 years, I've been having problems with them.
How old are you, Barbara?
I'm 35.
Okay, just checking.
And I don't like them. They don't like me.
Why?
Okay, I went to a beauty school back in 2000. And they were starting having attitudes with me. And I started giving them attitudes too. I wasn't gonna let them pass by that. And they left. All of a sudden, all of them graduated, and I stayed there in that school. And I just had a hard time there in that school. And ever since that time, I've been having problems with them. I've been followed. I think I've been followed, like, after the 9/11 thing that happened. I was followed for, like, I believe, like, for 3 months or so.
What do you think about this, Mr. Stanford?
I don't like those people.
Well, I think that maybe they haven't had a chance to find out how beautiful your culture is, or maybe how beautiful you are. I think there seems to me to be a communication breakdown somewhere. That's usually the case. It's just they don't, they're missing where the value is in the situation. That's what we end up having. That's generally what it all comes down to anytime we have any type of a problem that arises from cultural differences, which is pretty much the same as racial differences usually. It's an underappreciation of you. And how are you going to have a chance to appreciate them? You know what I mean? I mean, you're already stopped right at the door. To the point that every news story that you read about crime now seems like 99% is a Latino or a black man with gang affiliation getting a gang-enhanced sentence for red bandana. I mean, it's just gotten to the point that it's getting really reminiscent of the way the Jews were treated in the ghettos in Poland previous to when they started burning them. They're saying the same things about the Latinos they said about the Jews, that they're taking all their jobs, that they're migrating in, that they're taking all our stuff. And I'm getting off track there. But I was at both community meetings in Ceres. I was the only freedom fighter that went to both. All the freedom fighters walked out of the first one, including myself, and I bit the bullet and came back to the second one. And I feel that Chief of Police to work and our little groups of people, I feel that we made progress, but I really feel like they're blowing smoke up my pants. I don't believe that they're really intending on doing the things that they're nodding to that we're asking them to do. like getting involved with the community, getting known in the communities. And it just seems like they're really power mad.
You're going to drive that car through Ceres, huh?
All the time.
Line 1, are you there?
Yeah, I think the police ought to get involved in the community, such as going to the high schools, and talking to the students. It starts, these young kids, they learn to know all these different cops, and
Exactly.
carry that on when they get out of school, you know what I mean? Maybe they might get pulled over, you know what I mean, for whatever reason, and they have a good rapport with the police officers, you know what I mean?
And that's going to breed respect.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, thank you. Let me ask this while we're taking these calls. Put the camera 3 on, and see if you can also show the name and if you have the phone number for the gentleman and his organization while we're doing this, in case there's people like the young lady that called that wanted to try and get a hold of him. Line 2, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much. And I would just like to hug that white guy's neck there with that cowboy hat on. I certainly agree with what he's doing. And I give you absolute nothing but respect for that, sir. But on the other hand, I think you might be a little bit off base about the Syria situation. Maybe you don't live where there's that many Hispanic people or Latinos, whatever they're called.
What do you mean, whatever they're called?
Whatever,
Oh, come on now.
Okay, they're called by different names, Latinos, Mexicans, Hispanics, and all of that. And Syria is kind of overrun with them. And I think the police did an excellent job. After what happened to them, I don't have no pity at all for the Latino group because of the gang activity and stuff like that. And they are a pushy kind of people if
Okay.
to live among them. So thank you very, very much for listening. And my hat's still off for the civil rights. Thank you so much.
Honey, I got to take a break in a minute. You done? Thank you. We're going to take a break just a second. You got a quick response?
To there?
Sure.
Well, I'd like to hug her too, but at the same time, it's these are the problems that we're dealing with. It was very indicative right there. It's just it's the culture that's misunderstood. They are trying to interact with a different culture in a different way, coming from a different space. It's misunderstood. All this is about is a misunderstanding. It's not that they're pushy people. It's not that at all. It's just that they're coming at it from a different culture than we're used to.
We have your number up there now, 4960402. If anybody listening has interest in the organization, they're looking for membership. They've got about 200 people in the local area, volunteers. They're looking to do some fundraising, come up with some funding to get involved in other activities or an activity. Line 3, are you there?
Yes, sir, I am.
Talk.
Okay, what I deal with is a criminal defense issue. And what I'm looking at is that all the gang stereotyping is due to the Pasadena rules that they set up for gang organizations and what they look at to identify gangs with. And they need to...
Kind of like profiling?
Profiling, yes.
There you go.
They need to tighten it up. They need to tighten it up a lot because, if you have 3 or 4 people that hang out together and wear light clothing, they're a gang.
Yeah, but you know what? There's a litmus test on this thing. And the old saying was, that walks like a duck and quacks like a duck is probably a duck. If they wear their pants down around their knees and they've got gang colors and they do flash gang signs and do things, you know what? I think they're probably members of a gang.
That could be in some cases. But a lot of them are naive. A lot of kids don't.
It's not a matter whether they're nice or not. It's a matter whether they're a member. I mean, there's nice people that have killed their mothers.
No, not nice. Naive.
Okay.
Okay, if I'm walking down the street in a Raiders jersey, I'm wearing black and silver then, and I have a buddy that happens to show up with a black and silver jersey, so then I'm some part of some gang.
That's why I wear Seahawks stuff. Okay, I think I understand what you're getting at. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Line 4, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. How you guys doing?
Talk.
Yeah, I'm kind of against the whole civil rights thing right now. I look at the situation. I look at, the majority of people that are crying out about civil rights
are people that are just, they're out doing their own thing. They're out breaking the law. They're out being involved in gangs, and then they're getting upset because of the profiling. A majority of the gang violence is the Latinos and the blacks down in LA and stuff. You don't see white folk going out being involved in the gangs, and you don't hear us screaming about civil rights.
But you're leaving out Southeast Asians, of course.
Right, and I sit here and I hear about this, there's just as many, police cases of brutality against whites, against Asians, as there is against blacks and Latinos. And I'm so sick of hearing people cry out about our civil rights being violated. You know what? Get out and get a job. You got the same chance of education as I do as a white man. You got the same chance of education as I do as a black man. I get tired of hearing white people say, the immigrants, the illegal aliens are coming over here and picking our crops.
Okay, I'm gonna let Mr. Stanford answer and hang up their calls. I can't believe I didn't hang up sooner.
Well, it's just, a lot of people, they seem to get all their news from the media.
Except that what he says makes a lot of sense to a lot of people.
I'm sure it makes a lot of sense to a lot of people, but it's just, one thing that I really like about what he said was people complain about immigrants coming over, taking the jobs, but they're not willing to go out and pick the crops. On the other side of the thing, I'm not talking about, as far as when I talk about gang members, all I care about gang members is that they're treated like, they have, innocent until proven guilty, they're protected by the Constitution. But in the forefront of my mind, what gives me the urgency for what I do ain't gang members. It's for little kids on their music kick and adolescents that don't know anything.
Robert,
no matter what color they are. Wearing colors like this.
I got a real problem because what you're saying sounds like what I would hear from the NAACP or something like that. Your attitude is like something I would expect from the NAACP or an organization like that. But you know what? I don't care how I cut it. I look at you, and you're a damn white man.
I know. There'll be more of us.
Hell.
There'll be more people that
Line
wake up.
one, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Make it quick.
All right. You guys, I heard another caller say about something about racial profiling. I think, you guys are looking at people's clothing and everything. Police wear the same uniform. They drive cars. They're all the same. And you can't tell me that they look at everybody the same. Because I'm a white person trying to do the right thing, never been gang affiliated, and they're asking me all the dang time, are you gang affiliated? Do you hang with a gang? Who are they? They're gangs. How can you tell me they're not? They're dressed all in blue. They wear a badge. They wear a gun. How is that not a gang?
Thank you. What do you have to say?
I would say I think that he makes an extremely valid point, and that right there is something I hear right now more than anything, is that we need involvement from the police in our communities, not necessarily so neutral, but right now the community just feels like it's under the Latino community primarily. But we could say, when I talk about the Latino community, I'm pretty much talking about all of Ceres. I'm talking about all of South Modesto. I'm talking about all of the West Side. And the kids that they hang out with, not all of them are people of color. Some of them are white kids too. The police are busting them all the time. The police aren't out there except on that block party night out thing, or maybe a PALS program at a school here or a school there. But every time that I see a kid, whether it be white or colored or whatever, and I see a cop squeezing his arm so hard that he's leaving a bruise, I'm wondering, why doesn't that cop just take that one kid and take him to a ball game?
Hi. I'm just calling to say that I do believe in the civil rights of all ethnic people, whether you're a minority or whatever. But
I like that when there's a covenant, like, but
But with regard to the Ceres problem, with them having a meeting at the Ceres High School, I wasn't able to attend it, but I heard that the police officers were somewhat reaching out to the community and asking for solutions to their gang problems. And I believe that the community is basically a cultural and a community type of problem. That the community should come up with a solution to help
Yeah, but they're not going to step forward because you and I both know primarily Syria's a bunch of rednecks.
Well, that's the problem then.
Yeah, there you are. It's a cultural difference, you bet.
Yeah, it's a cultural difference, and I was born and raised in the South Pacific, okay?
Where?
In the South Pacific, is in a tiny island called Samoa.
I've heard of it.
And there
That's a good-looking
a lot of children that were in gangs that were affiliated in either Los Angeles or Northern California, Bloods and Crips. When they would try to pull that type of action in our island, each village had a kind of like a community response. They would absorb the youth, and then the youth would primarily patrol each of their villages, and they will be dictated or overseen by the village adults.
Yeah, but I mean, this is, I'm running out of time. I got to take a break in a minute, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but we don't have little villages. We don't have village elders. We don't wear grass skirts. Okay, we're talking about the year 2005, you know, and it's a whole different ballgame, unfortunately, than when you were raised, you know, in a more peaceful environment, and probably more rational and reasonable. People aren't rational and reasonable anymore. They're reactionary, they're violent, they're idiots.
Well, that's when the parents and the rest of the community have to come together to learn one another's culture in order to understand the children. Because apparently that's...
I agree with you 100%.
Oh, sure.
It's, and the second meeting at series, that's what I saw starting to happen. My problem is that I feel that the police are stopping short. But that's why I'm asking for the police to have involvement in the community so that our cultures can come together.
I hate to do this, I got to take a break. My guest tonight is Robert Stanford, president and founder of an organization called Civil Rights Organization, kind of affiliated with things like the NAACP and all that, into minorities and all. It's called Local Black, and he's white. I'm Don Langman. This is Sound Off. Line 3, you there?
I am, Don. Thanks for taking my call, and I'm sorry that last week...
All right, we got to be quick, though, tonight.
First, I want to say to Robert there, well, I live in Gustin here, and I'm a native of the Bay Area, and as far as blacks, this is not an opinion, this is a reality. I think that what's hurting black people today, right now, is cocaine. Because cocaine is a drug that makes people feel good, and you're not going to stop it. And I think that's going to be a big problem. It's not the police, it's not gangs and guns, it's the favoritism for cocaine. And I don't think anybody's going to be able to really find that fact. It ain't going to be a ball game or a Bible. I believe that is the majority of hurt just as far as the word black people. Now, second thing I want to say is, I think in the past, this is going to be very difficult to understand. In the past, I know that in the South that there was big problems, and I ain't going to say anything about that. But I am a Caucasian, and I think today the biggest problem right now in between white and black is the word cocaine. And there's a very powerful and there's a lot of favoritism, and I don't think either one of you two know how to deal with it. And that's my opinion. Don, you okay? And sound off. Thank you.
Thank you. Got a quick comment before I take line 4.
Well, I think that all drugs are a big problem for all races, and education is the first step towards alleviating that. But I just think that's one of the many problems that we have.
Line 4, you there?
Yes, thank you. I am a Margaret Lakers daughter, and I was raised as one. We were taught to go ahead and become Americans. My father would always say, speak English, you're in America. And that's one of the things they don't teach in the schools much anymore. Another thing is, too, one of the nicest people I've ever met, and he didn't even ask me who I was a white police officer in Syria. He didn't even have to tell me his name. I needed help. There was no one around. And then when he was finished, and I, he looked at me and he goes, by the way, I'm a police officer. And I thought, thank God. Because in reality, I've learned not even to trust my own. And we were taught to not trust white people. The way the man is dressed right there, we were told to stay away from them as I was growing up. But the police officers do their job. Parents take their kids to a ball game. These police officers are on a very scary line when you got so many punks, and it's my people being gang members. I remember watching them coming in the 80s, coming in and starting to destroy the communities right down Highway 99. I'm a little nervous, but the police officers are fine. It's these kids, and like the man said just before me, and drugs. Parents, get on the ball and watch your kids instead of waiting for someone else to do their job. Thank you.
Thank you. Your
Something I
comment?
hear quite a bit is that that's a lot of things we hear from the police, that the parents need to take responsibility for their children. But in some cases, a lot of cases, what we find is that generally both parents work. Sometimes they're worrying day to day how they're going to pay the rent. We don't know what kind of baggage these people have. If the kid's got problems, the kid needs help from the community. It takes a village to raise a child. And that's where the community needs to come together for all our children. I'm not saying that the Ceres Police Department's bad. The officer that got killed, it wasn't a friend of mine, but I did have several conversations with him. I tell you, he had a heart of gold. And I'm not saying nothing bad about the Ceres Police Department. I'm just saying that they're in a little trouble right now. I believe that they're overreacting severely. I'm not calling them racist. I'm not saying that they're, saying that they're profiling, but not in the sense that, well, it's a Mexican, turn it over.
Tell you what I'll do. Make you deal. Tell you what. In front of everybody, God, whoever she is, not this coming Thursday, not next week, but the one following or something, if you can get the Ceres Police Chief or a representative of the Ceres Police Chief to come on with you, I'll provide an hour for the two of you to talk about this. I'll moderate it. I'll be serious.
I think what would really,
That's an offer to you. I have no idea what influence you have or any of your volunteers or people in your organization called Local Black, but if you have any influence, if the police, chief of police in Ceres is interested sincerely, I will provide the hour not next Thursday, the following Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m., you and he, and I'll get between you, as long as you don't have guns. And we can talk about the profiling or whatever's going on.
Yes, sir, I am here.
Are you calling in or?
I'm calling in respect to the circumstances between the police and the people's civil rights in Ceres. And the reason I'm calling is to let you know that I believe police and the people both have a certain amount of truth to them. Their concern in the gangs is very right on, because I believe we as a community, I'm Hispanic, and I do believe we need to help our youth. We need to make them go forward instead of backward into gangs. I don't think gangs are anything that is good for anybody, whether they're red, white, blue, or green.
Got it. Thank you. Okay. Look, I'm going to take one more phone call, and that's it. We're going to let the gentleman make a couple of closing comments. We're running out of time. Line 3, you there?
Yeah, I think that the cities should do more things like, say, like a wine and cheese festival type atmosphere where the whole city comes together, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Not only in Ceres, but in Modesto, Oakdale, Riverbank, it takes the community coming together to start like patching all this kind of stuff up. And the police agencies and the fire agencies, they should come out there and show the kids the fire trucks and the kids the police cars and the police dogs. And
yeah, let the kids see what the front seat's like instead of the back seat.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
That's right. That's right.
Okay, all right. I gotta cut it off. I'm sorry, but thank you. Okay, we got about 2 minutes. Okay, my guest tonight is Robert W. Stanford, president of an organization called Local Black, and we're going to put the camera on him. We're going to show his phone number, and eventually we're going to get that up there. If you're interested in talking to him, they're looking for more people to get involved, and you give them a call. Your closing comments. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes. What do you have to say to the people?
What do I have to say to the people?
God, yeah, I know.
So, well, what more can I say? But I guess what I have to say to the people is that, it's not that we're, in the defense of gangs or anything like that at all. We're in the defense of people. We're into saving our children. And, it's not like we're, wanting to be soft on crime or anything like that at all, but we want to, just the reality of the situation is what's happening in Ceres and all parts of Stanislaus County now, or that a lot of innocent kids in their adolescence are getting caught into a net. Birds of a feather don't necessarily flock together. And I know that it starts at home, that the parents can do a lot, but there's only so much the parents can do. It takes a village to raise a child. The community needs to come together, and we need to come together for our children of all colors.
That's it, huh?
That's it.
Okay, I'm Don Langman. My guest tonight has been Robert Stanford, president and founder of an organization kind of that mirrors to a certain extent and works in conjunction with things like the NAACP. And I'm going to clarify one more time before we go out to the air tonight. Mr. Stanford is not. I thought he was when I booked him on the show. I swear, I really did. Imagine my shock. Imagine the shock of other people. It's been a pleasure. We've had some really good phone calls tonight, some very bright people articulating their feelings. It's been my pleasure. I wish you good well.
Stanislaus County law enforcement is under attack tonight for what a small group of residents call corruption. They say officers relentlessly target Latinos, assuming they're gang members. Fox 40's Shanna Franklin has the story.
A handful of people gathered in Ceres' Smyrna Park this afternoon.
Things going to change in this county. We have to start with this.
Their organizer says hoping to open the doors of dialogue between police and people of color.
We are absolutely not anti-police. We are here today making a demand for a greater appreciation and understanding of the Latino community, the Black community, the Asian community, all communities.
We need justice for Sammy Galvin.
Some held reminders of rising concerns. Susan Galvin has filed a suit against the Modesto Police Department for what she calls the unnecessary shooting death of her son during a 2004 domestic dispute.
I'm very afraid.
Rosie Garcia says Latinos are being racially profiled with frightening regularity in Stanislaus County. Today's event organizer says tensions between the two groups have been running high for a year, coming to a head January 9th. That's when Ceres police fatally shot Andres Raya, seen here on surveillance tape, after he ambushed and shot 2 officers, killing 1. Raya was a decorated Marine, and police say a gang member. The Ceres Police Department's division commander chose not to speak with us today. He says he would like to keep all communication limited to the department's town hall meetings. A sergeant with the department says they are well attended and productive. Robert Stanford says yes, because the seats are filled with police supporters. He says they will keep fighting for the ears of area police departments and the rights some others have. In Ceres, Shanna Franklin,